two incredibly informed 15s at the moment. Jordie Barrett scoring 30 points by himself. You've got Damian McKenzie looking really good, and Beauden Barrett's not here. What happens? Who do you select for the All Blacks at 15?
I've been a Damo fan for a long time. I think everyone knows that, but I think Jordie's probably got the inside running due to last year's form at 15, and he's probably been in that wing spot, and due to his brother being there, so he's now backing it up. So he's probably got the first right of way, and then obviously Damo's can maybe pick up that bench spot, and if he goes down, he'll be next in line. But that's the beauty of that depth. But that's the only theory I can go with, is the fact that it's that last year's form has now been carried on.
Yeah.
And that's how they normally work. Is it's just been a continuation of that form, as you can't ignore. And man, he's in touch, and he's made a statement. He's like, I don't want to play anywhere else. And especially at such a crucial time where Jackson Garden-Backship has gone down, it would have been so easy to put him in at 10 for those Hurricanes coaches. And he obviously stood pretty strong to say, no, I can do my best footy from 15. And I thought Auburn Ledger was much better at 10 this week. He looked really comfortable and behind a much more dominant pack. I thought Scott Scrafton made a big difference for them as well. But yeah, I mean, that's by the by, sorry. But I think they looked a lot more organised this week, and Jordie's performance was on the back of a lot of other people doing their jobs really well as well.
Yeah, including the coaches. I'm not sure if you looked at these, Bryn. The way that they scored those first two tries, they were creative plays that put Jordie Barrett into position to score the tries.
Yeah, they were. They were nice little changes in their face play attack. I think we talked around previously last time around them getting into that kind of centre and winger kind of on the outside edge, but they must have seen this in the preview around the Highlanders, around how they did that defensively. Just and then coming back, I think traditionally you've seen some guys, usually a 10 might get the ball on quick ball, step back, and then give it in the inside into that kind of rover coming inside. But what I liked about it is they hit the three forwards, and then they hit the pivot out the back, and then it was a cut off there, which is something that I haven't seen before. And so it probably goes full credit to their attacking staff seeing the pitches and bringing actually something quite new that I haven't seen, and probably New Zealand teams haven't faced. So it was really good. They scored twice off that, and so no doubt the Highlanders will probably want to be doing a bit more defence around that. But again, you've got to give hats off around the plan they had. They definitely saw it as a plan, and they got the rewards of it having 2 tries in the game.
We're seeing lots of looks, like I suppose we're seeing lots of different kinds of attack from the Hurricanes over the last couple of weeks, and does that make it difficult for the opposition defence to plan as it goes on, knowing they've got so many options there?
I think it doesn't make it difficult in terms of plan, but it means that you just got to be really organised and got to be able to stay on. And I suppose that's what Bryn's getting at, is they obviously saw something in the Highlanders' defence that maybe they button off on the inside once the ball's gone past those defenders. And so once they've gone into those forwards and maybe they're looking to fold, they're looking for their next job. They're looking to really get around that corner to make sure that they set early for their next task to get up and bring that line speed. So because they're looking to do that next job, that if they can go out the back to Jordie Barrett as it was on the weekend, and he steps back in and can give that pass back in, or it's Nani gives it back into Jordie like the second try, then that's that space created. So because they're so eager to get to the next job, they've seen it's not a lazy thing. It's almost you're so keen, and the Highlanders are so eager to get to their next job that they're not just. So for the Blues this week, it's almost finish that first job first. Once that tackle's been made of whether that forward pod of the Canes carries, or they go out the back and they go out the back and they do their thing, which they've shown really well as in the Hurricanes out here. Once the tackle's been done, you've cleaned your area, then go to your next job as fast as you can. Don't leave and try and, I suppose, predict that it's just going to happen, because they're starting to show that they can pick you apart if you think you're one step ahead of them, sort of thing. So it doesn't mean you're going to have to try and outthink them. You just got to be organised together in your D line with your mates and be a wall.
We saw more good stuff from Damian McKenzie, Bryn. He is looking sharp.
Yeah, he is, mate. He's in top form, isn't he? And we've talked about it before around whether he's going to be at 10 or 15, but I guess what they're doing, they're persisting at the moment and getting a real junior team with Trask, whether they'll be with Bryn in the future, having them start the game. And then we've talked about it a lot around bringing him in that last 20, 25 minutes when teams are tired, reserves are coming on and the game's a little bit more open, and he can bring in his counter-attack game. He can rove around and he can pop up in spaces like he did on the weekend just with that try with Luke Jacobson being in and around the ball. So, yeah, look, we've got some good fullbacks at the moment. We haven't even talked about Jordie, who scored 30 points on the weekend, so no doubt we'll get to that. But, I'd like to see them probably stick with that, keep Damian at 15, and then bring him into 10 for probably that last 20, 25 minutes, and when the game's really open, he can immerse himself in that running rugby.
And when you look at the way this competition is stacking up, with the teams getting in behind the Blues now, suddenly the second place competition seems very open.
I said last week, I was like, I hope everyone gets in behind the comp, Like last week I was like, it's well, now we've got a real fight for second.
Yeah.
Like, we're talking about the Chiefs going for second. Or the Canes are right in it now. They're hot. Like they've what the shifts they've made in their phase play D since they played the Crusaders, like Corey Jane needs a pat on the back, because we mentioned their phase play D after the Crusaders, and obviously Cody Taylor's run up the middle as an example. Some guys were in drift defence, other guys were in rush defence, and that created the hole. Well, I mentioned it last week in the Chiefs game, like the phase play D, like all the Chiefs comeback tries were sort of from scattered D, but their phase play D was rock solid. When they were in hold and push from a midfield ruck, they really utilised the sideline. When they were in rush, they were all connected and they were in rush. Man, that was the same. And people were like, oh, the Highlanders couldn't break through in the 22. Well, I want to flip it on the flip side and just give some credit to the Hurricanes' defence. The Crusaders get the pump up when they hold out teams in 22s. But whenever it's any other team, it's, what's wrong with their attack? Why can't we give the Hurricanes D a pump up? Duplessis Karifi was just throwing his body around everywhere. Colsey was into everything. Artie Savia, Scott Scrafton coming back from an injury was just like in the thick of it. Tyrell Lomax set the tone early. There was some desperation. When Vahakolo was going for that corner, I think there was 4 Hurricanes jerseys in the picture stopping him so he couldn't reach out and go for the try. So the work that they've put in since the bye to sort their phase play D out has been exceptional. And when they rush, they're rushing together and they're just committed.
If you're looking around the Highlanders, they had 75% territory and possession and 65% territory. So I think, and especially with the Highlanders, they offer so much around their attack shape, especially with Nuggies there. There were a lot of times where they had quick ball, they had different off Aaron, they were hitting out the back with Hunty and Doshuani, who I thought was actually fantastic at 15. I thought he was really good at attacking wise. But yeah, you've got to commend that defence, because the Highlanders offer a lot of headaches, especially with their face play attack and how many options they have. And coming back to your point, there were a lot of guys that stood up around that defensive end. You talk around big moments, and you talk around that Zavina, what's his name? The winger? How do you pronounce it properly?
Vahakolo.
Yeah.
Vahakolo, sorry, yeah. When they all came to shut that off, that kind of just shows what your defense is all about when you've got individuals like that chasing to try and get that and save that try. So, yeah, the Corey Jones definitely deserves a pat on the back, because I thought the Hurricanes, their defence and how connected they were, and some brutal contacts that they had, especially with the Highlanders, who gave them a lot. They played a lot of rugby, and they just couldn't really break them until the back end of the game, when they were actually have quick taps with Fakatava and Aaron Smith getting in behind them.